This is going to be a very rambling ramble because it's completely unplanned. I was just sitting at the desk and there was the phone and there was you. So here we go. I'm currently completing a form for the PVG scheme so that I can work with the Sunday school at the church. It's like the background check for those of you in America for working with minors. I have a disclosure and barring services check, which is since become a criminal records background. I don't know. There's like 12 different names. I have one for England, but there's a different one for Scotland. Oh, and it's the Protecting Vulnerable Groups scheme. There we go. If I looked at my forms more carefully, I'd be able to do this. Anyway, that's the pen in my hand. And then I'll be able to work with Scottish minors as well as English minors. Devolution happens in funny ways. It's reading week, so I don't have classes. I have, however, had 2 full days in the office as publications assistant / open access facilitator, working on getting humanities and social science research from the University of Edinburgh open access and freely available to the public via the internet. So thus far, I actually haven't had any more time this week than I do on most weeks. And next week, I'm off to Norwich to help run an environmental entrepreneurship Bright Futures program for British school children. We're very excited because for this residential, I did a similar one last year. For this residential, we're actually bringing in other Marshall scholars from around the UK to help lead workshops. So that will be grand fun. And then the hope is that, and actually it's on the books, in last weekend of May, first weekend of June, the Marshall Scholars are actually going to be running their own residential around issues of environmental community activism and such. Anyway, so lots of mentoring and fun educational programs with youngins on this side of the pond going on. Also this week, as reading week, we should be writing our essays, in which case I could ramble about the essay topics and what I'm exploring, except that the essays aren't actually out yet, the titles, so I don't have a long, happy list of things to talk to you about. I do owe you an environmental law overview from last term, although we're still doing environmental law this term. It's a 2-term course, so still learning plenty of things. Next week I'm doing nuclear regulation. It'll be grand fun. However, I have now submitted dissertation topics, which is funny because that's, of course, how Ramblings first started, is for me to survive my first master's dissertation in water security. So hopefully we'll get an actual title and supervisor sorted soon, and I can start rambling about this master's and have some kind of order again. Edinburgh does it a little differently. Instead of students just like stating their title, finding their supervisor on their own, we submit 2 title options. I think this is my groceries. Oh, nope, it's just someone coming in. I have the door open just for grand fun. So instead of selecting our own supervisors and submitting titles, we submit 2 different titles, and our program supervisors then allocate out supervisors and decide which of those topics we're doing. Although obviously they give us our first choice if possible, and if they have the faculty. Interesting system. I was a little nervous at first because I didn't have a good idea about dissertation topics. I was like, I have to come up with 2, both of which I'm happy to do. But I think we're good, thanks to the happy beauty of brainstorming emails with faculty and a brief Skype chat with an Edinburgh faculty who was ironically in Michigan at the time. Whatever. Shout out to Michigan. Anyway, so at this point, I'm looking at doing either kind of an analysis of the international law dimensions around the proposed Red Sea-Dead Sea conduit, bringing water from the Red Sea up into the Dead Sea to replenish the Dead Sea's system, and on the way, supposedly generating energy, desalinating water for freshwater use. An agreement that was signed in December 2013 between Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. So we'd be looking at what kind of issues are raised here, what in the process has been done correctly or incorrectly thus far, that kind of thing. Lots of issues there in indigenous rights, human rights to water and food, energy issues, international water law, environmental law and protections, all kinds of things. It'd be grand fun. And then the other possibility at this point is a look at Palestine as an international actor, given that it's not quite a state, but kind of acts like a state, and its rights, responsibilities, and authority in international law around that. Which of course would be related, and one small part of what I would talk about if I did the Red Sea, Dead Sea, given that Palestine is signed on, and what does that mean? But I could also just look at kind of responsibility and, the Palestine as an actor separately. So we'll see what happens. Let me know if you have any thoughts. And that's my ramble for today.